So my dad calls me the other day and says he's having problems with a rocking toilet. Here's why that's bad and what you can do about that. Now the issue my dad was having with his wobbly toilet was that the flange underneath the floor was never actually properly attached. So all those years I was growing up in that bathroom, sitting on that toilet, it was never really properly attached, which is kind of a miracle that it never really wobbled, but it showed up, I guess, 20, 30 something years later. This in particular is a quick fix to fix just a regular wobbly toilet. When I sat down on this toilet earlier, I noticed there was a couple of different wobbly problems. The first is the wobbly seat. That's an easy one to fix. And it's not really gonna hurt anything, but it might buck you off at some point. The wobbly seat fix is pretty easy. Right above your toilet here, you can see that you've got two little hatches, and that is a screwdriver, both of them Phillips head. You can put a screwdriver in there. Sometimes you can just hold your finger on there. Underneath here. Man, you gotta be a contortionist to be a plumber, but underneath here, you can see this little nugget right there that's got usually it has a little tab that you can twist to the right. So righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. You're gonna hold the screw right here and then turn this to the right as far as you can to the right to tighten that up on both sides. That'll fix the old wobbly seat syndrome. So if it's not just the toilet seat that's loose, it's loose by the floor, and that can be a big problem because every time you sit down on the toilet, it rocks. There's a wax ring that seals the toilet to the pipe beneath. It makes a nice little seal to keep the water from coming out. And every time it rocks, it's the chance that that seal is going to break, and then you flush the toilet, the water goes through and then comes out from underneath the toilet because your seal is broken from all the rocking back and forth. Two simple reasons why your toilet could be wobbly at the floor. The two bolts holding the toilet to the floor or to the flange could be loose. In other words, the nuts could be loose. Or, especially in pier and beam homes, the floor sometimes can tilt. Then you've got an uneven floor, therefore you've got an uneven toilet. So, first things first, check your bolts right here. Make sure that they're tightened down, righty-tighty, as snug as you can get them. Don't over tighten them. You can't see it probably, but there is a washer underneath, and I've actually tightened it so tight because I'm Mr. Over Tightener that it's pulled the washer through the toilet, and it's no good. So just tighten it to a hand tight and a little bit more. Just make sure it's nice and snug. Check those on both sides. Give it the old shake and see if it's wobbly. Good man. If you tighten up your bolts on both sides, you give it a shake and it's still a little bit wobbly, then let's give it the old level test. Toilets are made to be flush. In other words, they're made to be symmetrical in the factory. So if I take a level and I put it on top of my toilet, bubble in the middle, that means everything is flush, no pun intended, or square. On the floor, if your bubble is even, then your floor is even. If your bubble's like this, or if it's like this, your floor is not even, therefore your toilet is probably not even. And so that's a problem. But it's a fixable one. So what you're gonna do, if your toilet's not even, your floor's not even, you've gotta even your toilet. So you can use shims, not the wooden ones. Why would you use wooden ones where there's water everywhere? They're just gonna get wet, and they're gonna get moldy, and then you're gonna stink and get nasty and rot. There's no point in that. Use the plastic ones. I apologize, I do not have shims, but I will put a picture of one in the corner. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna loosen your bolts on both sides, this side, the other side, and then you're gonna slide the shims underneath the toilet wherever it's low or high. Or is it low? Wherever it's uneven. Until the bubble on your level, or your leveler, as my wife would say, is in the middle. Just shim it until it's even. Once your shims are underneath there, leave them there, and then tighten the bolts down to the floor. Simple. So if your toilet's rocking or wobbly from the floor, you want to take care of that as soon as possible because you want to preserve the seal in that wax ring. If that breaks, everything's got to come off. You got to go down to the store, get a new wax ring, which, by the way, you can replace on your own if you like. You just have to unseat the toilet, and then you've got to go get the wax ring, replace the wax ring, scrape the old wax ring off, replace the wax ring, and then seat the toilet very evenly. And then if the floor's uneven, you're gonna have to shim it, seat it back very evenly, and crank down the bolts, but don't crank them down too much. If you live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and just can't make it work for you, give us a call. We'll come down and get it fixed up for you. We've got 1-hour appointments, no salespeople. We're locally owned. We're upfront pricing. We just keep it very, very simple. Fast, fair, fixed. BillyGo.com.